The chandeliers of the Sterling Manor ballroom cast 1,000 fractured rainbows across the marble floor. Crystal glasses clinked, silk rustled. The air was thick with expensive perfume and the electric hum of society's elite. It was my 18th birthday, the night I was supposed to be crowned the heiress of the Sterling fortune, the night my family was finally going to acknowledge me as their rightful daughter. Instead, I was standing in the center of the room, my carefully chosen gown suddenly feeling like a shroud, while the woman I had called mother for 18 years announced to the entire assembled world that I was a fraud. "Ladies and gentlemen," Camilla Sterling said, her voice trembling with theatrical tears, "I have a confession to make. This girl, this woman I have raised as my own daughter, is not my biological child. She is a stranger, a fraud, a girl who was swapped at birth and has been living a lie for 18 years. I only discovered the truth last week, and I cannot, in good conscience, allow this farce to continue." The room erupted. Gasps, whispers, the clicking of cameras. I stood frozen, my heart pounding, my hands shaking. I looked at my father, Arthur Sterling, but he wouldn't meet my eyes. I looked at my brother, Nathaniel, but he was staring at the floor. I looked at Camilla, and she smiled, a small, triumphant smile that only I could see. "Mother," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "What are you talking about? I am your daughter. I have always been your daughter. You raised me. You loved me. You called me your child." Camilla's face hardened. "I was deceived. Eleanor, I was told you were my daughter, but you are not. The real Sterling daughter is out there, living a life of poverty and struggle, while you have been enjoying all the privileges that should have been hers. It is time for you to return to your real family. It is time for you to step aside." She gestured to the back of the room. A young woman walked forward, her face a mask of humility, her eyes glittering with barely concealed triumph. She was beautiful, with dark hair and delicate features, and she was wearing a gown that was almost identical to mine. "Eleanor," Camilla said, "meet your real family. Meet the woman who should have been our daughter. Meet Clara Sterling." I looked at Clara. She was smiling at me, a smile that didn't reach her eyes. She looked like she had been rehearsing this moment for years. "Eleanor," Clara said, her voice dripping with false sympathy, "I know this must be hard for you. I know you've been living a lie, but it's time for you to accept the truth. You are not a Sterling. You are a nobody, and it's time for you to go back to where you belong." I looked around the room. The guests were staring at me with a mixture of pity and contempt, and my father was still avoiding my eyes. Nathaniel was still staring at the floor. Camilla was smiling triumphantly. And then I felt it. "Hello, Eleanor. I am the truth system. I have been dormant within you since birth, waiting for the moment when you would need me most. That moment has arrived. The woman who claims to be your mother is lying. The woman who claims to be your sister is lying. You are not a fraud. You are not an imposter. You are, in fact, the true heir to the Sterling fortune and more. I can help you uncover the truth. I can help you reclaim what is rightfully yours. But you must be willing to fight. You must be willing to face the darkness. Are you ready?" I blinked. I looked around the room. No one else seemed to have heard anything. The system was in my head. It was real. "Yes," I whispered. "I'm ready." The system hummed in response. "Excellent. Let's begin." I've been in this world long enough to know that stories like Eleanor's are rarely what they seemed. I was a journalist, once a good one. I had covered the rise and fall of powerful families, the secrets they hid, the lies they told. And I had learned that the truth is almost always stranger than fiction. When I first heard about Eleanor Sterling's fall from grace, I was curious. IT seemed too convenient. The sudden discovery of the real daughter, the public humiliation, the swift exile. It had all the hallmarks of a setup, a conspiracy designed to remove Eleanor from the picture. I started investigating. I contacted former servants, former employees, anyone who might have information, and I discovered something shocking. Camilla Sterling had known about the swap for years. She had known that Eleanor was not her biological daughter, and she had kept the secret because Eleanor was useful, a pawn in her game of power and control. But there was something else, something even more shocking. The real daughter, Clara, was not who she claimed to be. She was not a victim of circumstance. She was a plant, a tool, a weapon designed to take Eleanor's place. And Camilla was the one pulling the strings. The exile was swift and brutal. I was thrown out of the Sterling Manor, My possessions stuffed into a single suitcase, my name erased from the family records. Camilla made sure that everyone in society knew I was a fraud. She made sure that no one would hire me, no one would help me, no one would even speak to me. I moved into a tiny apartment in a rundown part of the city. I sold what little jewelry I had managed to keep. I took a job as a waitress, just to pay the bills. I lived on instant noodles and tap water, and I dreamed of the day I would return and make them all pay. The system helped me survive, that IT gave me advice, guidance, and access to information I couldn't have gotten on my own. It helped me identify the threads of the conspiracy, the connections between the players, the lies that had been told to destroy me. Camilla Sterling was the mastermind. She had orchestrated everything, from the discovery of the swap to the public humiliation to the installation of Clara as the new heiress. She had done it because she needed a puppet, a daughter she could control, and Eleanor had become too independent, too strong, too impossible to manipulate. Clara was the weapon. She was a distant cousin, a girl with a grudge and a desperate need for validation. Camilla had promised her the world in exchange for her cooperation. Clara had accepted without hesitation. And my father, Arthur Sterling, was the coward. He had known about the conspiracy from the beginning, and he had done nothing to stop it. He had stood by while his wife destroyed his daughter because he was too weak, too afraid, too dependent on Camilla's approval. The system helped me gather evidence. It helped me find witnesses, documents, and records that proved the conspiracy. It helped me build a case that would destroy Camilla Sterling once and for all. But I didn't act immediately. I was patient. I was careful. I waited for the right moment to strike. When Eleanor contacted me, I was surprised. She was not the broken, defeated woman I had expected. She was sharp, focused, and determined. She had been gathering evidence for months, building a case that would bring down one of the most powerful women in the city. She showed me the documents, bank statements, email chains, witness testimonies. She told me the story of her exile, her survival, her transformation. And I realized, in that moment, that Eleanor Sterling was not a victim. She was a warrior. I agreed to help her. I wrote an article, a carefully researched expose of Camilla Sterling's crimes. I published it in the biggest newspaper in the city, and I watched the world burn. The article was published on a Wednesday. By Friday, Camilla Sterling's empire was in ruins. The public was outraged. The board of the Sterling Corporation called for an emergency meeting. Camilla's allies abandoned her. Clara, the real daughter, was exposed as a fraud, a plant, a tool of Camilla's ambition. And I was invited back. I walked into the Sterling Manor for the first time in 2 years. The chandeliers were still the same. The marble floors were still the same. But everything else was different. Camilla was sitting in the drawing room, her face pale, her hands trembling. She was surrounded by lawyers, her expression a mask of defeat. "Eleanor," she said, her voice barely a whisper, "I didn't expect to see you again." I smiled, a cold, hard smile. "I'm sure you didn't, Mother, but I'm here now, and I'm going to take back everything you stole from me." I reached into my bag and pulled out a folder, a thick folder filled with documents. "I have proof," I said, "that you orchestrated the swap. I have proof that you planted Clara to take my place. I have proof that you have been embezzling from the Sterling Corporation for years. I have proof of everything you have done, and I'm going to make sure that you pay for it." Camilla's face went white. "You can't do this. I am your mother. I raised you. I gave you everything." "You gave me nothing," I said. "You used me. You manipulated me. You threw me away like garbage when I was no longer useful to you. And now you're going to face the consequences of your actions." I turned to the lawyers. "Gentlemen, I am here to reclaim my rightful place as the heir to the Sterling fortune. I have the documentation to prove my claim, and I expect your full cooperation." The lawyers looked at each other. They knew they had no choice. "Of course, Ms. Sterling," one of them said. "We will do everything in our power to assist you." I nodded. "Good. Now, let's begin." I watched the trial from the gallery. It was the most dramatic legal battle I had ever seen. A mother against the daughter she had betrayed. A father against the wife he had failed to stop. Camilla Sterling was convicted of fraud, embezzlement, and conspiracy. She was sentenced to 20 years in federal prison. Clara was convicted of fraud and conspiracy and sentenced to 10 years. Arthur was convicted of conspiracy and sentenced to 5 years. Eleanor walked out of the courtroom with her head held high, her future secure. She had won. She had won, and she knew it. I asked her later if she felt any satisfaction. She smiled, a quiet, peaceful smile. "I don't feel satisfaction," she said. "I feel peace. I feel closure. I feel free." The aftermath of the trial was a whirlwind. I took control of the Sterling Corporation, that I restructured it, rebuilt it, transformed it into a symbol of integrity and justice. I founded a foundation to help women who had been victimized by their families, to provide them with legal support, financial assistance, and emotional counseling. I became a mentor, a guide, a champion for women who had been where I had been. I also found love, a real love, a man who saw me for who I was, who valued me, who respected me. He was kind, gentle, and supportive. He didn't try to change me. He didn't try to control me. He simply loved me. Camilla is still in prison. Clara is still in prison. Arthur is still in prison. Their empires are dust, and their names are forgotten. I am free. I am powerful. I am happy. And I am just getting started. The final confrontation came 5 years later. I was at a charity gala, accepting an award for my work with women's rights. Camilla had been released on early parole, her sentence reduced for good behavior. She was there, standing in the corner, her face haggard, her eyes hollow. She approached me, her steps hesitant, her voice trembling. "Eleanor," she said, "I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. I know I don't deserve anything from you. But I wanted to tell you, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. I was wrong, that I was a fool. I let my ambition destroy everything I loved." I looked at her, and I felt nothing. Not anger, not pity, not even satisfaction. Just a quiet, peaceful emptiness. "Mother," I said, "you had 18 years to love me, 18 years to see me, to appreciate me, to cherish me. You chose to use me. You chose to discard me. And now you have to live with the consequences of your choices. I don't need your apologies. I don't need your love. I have everything I need. I have myself. I have my work. I have my family. And you have nothing but regret." She fell to her knees. She started crying. She started begging. I turned and walked away. I didn't look back. I remember that moment, that final confrontation between Eleanor and Camilla. I remember the way Eleanor walked away, her head held high, her heart intact. I remember the way Camilla fell to the ground, broken and defeated. And I remember thinking that Eleanor Sterling was one of the strongest women I had ever met. She had been beaten down, humiliated, and discarded. And she had risen from the ashes like a phoenix, stronger and more powerful than ever. She taught me something that day. She taught me that the quiet ones are always the most dangerous. She taught me that people who've been hurt can become the most powerful people in the world. And she taught me that resilience, determination, and integrity are the most powerful weapons of all. I think about her sometimes, about the woman who transformed herself from a ghost into a legend. I think about the woman who took everything from the people who tried to destroy her. I think about the woman who had the courage to walk away from a life that was never meant to be hers, and the strength to build a new one, a better one, a life that was truly her own. She is an inspiration. She is a force of nature. She is, without a doubt, one of the most remarkable people I have ever met. And her story is not over. It is just beginning. It has been 10 years since I took control of the Sterling Corporation. 10 years of rebuilding, restructuring, and redefining what it means to be a leader. I have transformed the company into a global powerhouse, a symbol of excellence and integrity. I have mentored countless young women, encouraging them to pursue their dreams despite the challenges they face. I have founded a foundation, a scholarship, a network of support for women who have been victimized by their families. I have also found happiness, real happiness. I am married to a wonderful man who loves me for who I am. We have 2 beautiful children. We have a home filled with love and laughter. Camilla Sterling is still in prison. Clara is still in prison. Arthur is still in prison. I am free. I am powerful. I am happy. And I am just getting started. Eleanor Sterling's story is a reminder that the truth is always stronger than ALIE. IT is a reminder that no matter how far you fall, you can always rise again. It is a reminder that the people who hurt you are not the ones who define you. You define yourself. I have watched her journey from exile to empowerment, from victim to victor. I have seen her transform from a ghost into a legend. And I have learned that the most powerful weapon in the world is not money, not power, not influence at IT is the truth. Eleanor Sterling is a force of nature. She is unbreakable. She is unstoppable. And her story is one that will inspire generations to come.